If someone followed you around all day and spoke to you the way your inner voice speaks to you, would you keep them in your life? Most of us wouldn't. And yet, we let that voice stay, rent-free, every single day. Hello everyone, I'm Belle. This is day 4 of the 30-day English Habit Challenge, and today, we go somewhere most habit guides never go. Inside your own head. Not to your schedule, not to your productivity, not to your routines. We go inside your head, to the voice that's always there, the one that never stops talking, the one that most of us have never properly introduced ourselves to, your inner voice. I want to start today with a question, and I want you to answer it honestly, not with the answer you think you should give, but with the real answer, the one that comes before you have time to think. When you make a mistake, what does the voice in your head say? For most people, it says something like, "That was so stupid," or "Why do I always do this?" or "I'm useless," or "Other people never mess up like this," or simply, "Not good enough." And we say these things to ourselves instantly, automatically, without pausing to question whether they're true or fair or even remotely kind. We would never, never say these things to a friend who made a mistake. We would say, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. You'll do better next time." We would be warm, patient, understanding. But to ourselves, we are brutal, without even noticing. There is a concept in psychology called self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness, patience, and understanding that you would offer to a good friend. The researcher who pioneered this concept, Dr. Kristin Neff, found in her studies that people who practice self-compassion are significantly more motivated, more resilient, and, perhaps counterintuitively, more successful than people who are harsh with themselves. Because here's what most people believe, and it's completely backwards. Most people believe that being hard on themselves is what drives them to improve, that self-criticism is the engine of growth, that if they stop criticizing themselves, they'll become lazy and complacent. But the research shows the opposite. When your inner voice is constantly critical, when you live under the weight of your own harsh judgment, your brain actually performs worse, because part of its energy is always being used to manage the emotional pain of self-criticism, and there's less capacity left for actual growth, creativity, and learning. Kindness to yourself is not an indulgence. It is a strategy. Today's habit is this. Every morning, before you leave your home, say one kind thing to yourself, out loud, in English. Just one sentence. That's the whole habit. Now, I want to be specific about what kind means here, because some of you might be thinking, "Belle, I can't say I'm amazing to myself in the mirror. That feels ridiculous." And I understand that. I felt the same way when I first tried this. So let's be realistic. The kind sentence doesn't have to be triumphant or dramatic. It just has to be true and warm. Here are some examples that feel natural rather than forced. I am doing my best today. Simple, honest, true. I am enough as I am right now. Powerful without being dramatic. I am proud of myself for showing up. Specific and genuine. I am learning, and that takes courage. Particularly meaningful for English learners. I am allowed to take up space. For those of you who make themselves small, one of these, or your own version. Every morning, out loud, in English. The out loud part matters. There is neurological research showing that speaking words out loud, as opposed to just thinking them, activates different parts of the brain and makes the message more real, more embodied, more felt. Your voice is powerful. Hearing yourself say kind things about yourself is different, fundamentally different from just thinking them. And the in English part is your daily language practice. Because when you say these phrases in English, you're doing two things at once. You're practicing self-compassion, and you're building your English vocabulary for emotions, self-expression, and identity. You're learning how to talk about yourself in another language, which is one of the deepest forms of language learning. I remember the first time I stood in front of my mirror and said, out loud, "I am enough today." I felt embarrassed, even alone, even with no one watching. Something in me resisted it. And that resistance, that discomfort, told me exactly how unfamiliar kindness toward myself actually was. I did it anyway. And then again the next day, and the day after. After about 2 weeks, something shifted. The sentence started to feel less foreign, and I started to notice throughout the day when my inner critic would start up, and I had something to replace it with. Not denial, not pretending everything was perfect, just, I am doing my best today. And it was enough to interrupt the spiral before it started. Your challenge today is this: stand in front of a mirror, look at your own eyes, and say, in English, one kind sentence about yourself. Today, right now if you can. If it feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is information. It's telling you that you need this more than you realize. And your English word for today is compassion. Feeling care and understanding for someone who is suffering or struggling. Self-compassion is that same care, but directed toward yourself. I practice self-compassion every morning. Or, compassion is not weakness. It is the foundation of strength. Go to the comments and write, one kind thing I can say to myself today is blank. In English, share it, because writing it makes it more real, and sharing it helps someone else do the same. Download your Day 4 card. Stand in front of that mirror. Say the sentence. I mean it. This is Belle. Be kind to yourself today. You deserve it more than you know. I'll see you on Day 5.